I'd like to call to order the Select Board meeting of May 9th, 2022, and would also like to raise, due to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21, we are going to meet in executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, we'll vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, we'll vote in executive session and be back here at 6:30 p.m. Thank you very much. call to order the Select Board meeting of May 9th, 2022. Thank you for waiting. We finished up our executive session fairly on time. Okay. Shall we rise for Pledge of Allegiance and stay standing for a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing as we honor veterans, past, present, and our healthcare workers who have rescued us for so long. Thank you. Okay. Quick. What's that?
We signed the warrant.
Sign the warrant, okay. Yes, well, permission to sign the warrant? We did already, that's right, okay, good. I'll thank Mr. McGinnis ahead of time for making sure that I follow the rules. Okay. We have a couple of quick issues to take care of. A one-day entertainment license for Janet Mayer at 6:30. Is someone here? Please step forward. Introduce yourself and
Hi, Janet Mayer.
what can we do for you?
Just here for a permit for one-day entertainment, an alcohol license for a wedding.
And where is it?
954 Smith Neck Road, South Dartmouth, August 20th.
Okay,
Motion to approve.
Second.
okay. Any discussion or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Hope it's a nice wedding.
Sure it will be.
Okay, next would be Round the Bend Farm, one-day, two-event alcohol entertainment licenses. Anybody here? Okay, here comes Round the Bend. Here she comes.
Round the Bend. I'm Disa Vanderhoven. I'm the executive director for Round the Bend Farm, and we're having two fundraisers, one for Coastline Elderly on May 19th and one for Pride on June 3rd. So we're hoping to have lots of money be raised for these lovely organizations.
You want to go over those dates again?
May 19th for Coastline Elderly and June 3rd for Pride.
Right. And where again?
Round the Bend Farm, 92 Allens Neck Road, Dartmouth.
Seems like Round the Bend's the place to go with that.
It really
All
is,
right.
yeah.
I saw that the Coastline Elderly Program has ticket sales for $35. I didn't see what the Pride event, was there a?
That's a really good question. I don't remember what the amount of money it's
It
for.
says unsure on the application.
That is not contingent on this.
Okay,
You know, I just want to support, and I want to know how to write the check out. That's
yeah,
all.
I'm sorry.
Not
I
a problem. You
feel
will
like
let me know, I'm sure.
I will.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Motion to approve both.
You say
Second.
on here it's unsure, I didn't know.
Second
Second,
time.
okay. Any discussion or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Opposed? None.
May you have
It's all
good
yours.
weather.
Good
Thank
luck.
you, yes,
Enjoy.
good weather. Thank
Sell
you.
out. Okay, now, here we go. We have a joint meeting today. I'm so glad to have you all from the school committee. We have a fairly open agenda. First on the list is a review of the non-binding referendum vote. Any comment or statement from the school committee?
Well, I think the results of, personally, the results of the non-binding referendum question kind of spoke loud and clear as to what the citizens in this town want to have and want to see, type of deal. And with that, the committee, this committee voted 2 weeks ago on April 25th to maintain the logo, symbol, mascot, whatever you wish to call it, for the Dartmouth Public Schools, and that being the Indian that was designed by Hall of Famer Clyde Andrews back in 1973. Clyde's a graduate of the class of 1974. So, we now move on to do, some other things that that need to be done, and work on that.
Which we received a
You would have gotten,
communication from Ms. Gentner
yeah, you would,
regarding that.
that
We talked
motion,
about
right, and that's Dr. Jenkins' motion. I'll let her speak to that.
I'll just say that one of the things that we all as a committee agreed on and that was clear through our discussions is the need for more education, more information about our Indigenous neighbors. Some of that is on us in terms of curriculum and what we do in the schools, but one of the things is also clear is that some of those things are beyond our purview, right? So public places, libraries, things like that. And so I think it was clear to us that we're going to do some work, but that we also need the town side to also help and engage in some work as well to honor sort of what came out of these discussions. And so that's, I think, what we really wanted to just sort of convey to you, that we hope that you all will also take up the mantle and look to see, you know, what can we do in our libraries, what can we do in our senior centers, right, in terms of land acknowledgements, maybe displays, things like that. So those are things that we don't control, but we'd like to also see the select board and the town engage in those sorts of efforts.
Mr. Chairman. I can tell you on, as far as I'm concerned, we will do whatever we need to do to make sure that whatever the school committee decides as to how the program being taught is, that the town will mirror that wherever we have to do. Because, to be honest with you, we're not a town without you know, the beginnings. I mean, to be honest with you, I would really love to see the original deed in our hands, but unfortunately, it's in Plymouth at the Registry of Deeds, where, I mean, basically it is. That's where it should be, but I would still like to have the original here. So if it means we set up an area in Town Hall, we will do that. If it needs to be in the libraries, we will talk to the trustees and get that done. I saw something in our packet regarding kiosks. I can't think of his first name, but Mr. Inglesby, who did the original 350 for the villages. We could almost mirror that, specifically in areas, you know, for the Native Americans. And we'll work with, you know, whichever tribe wants to work with us. And there's an opportunity here to where the school department can model its use, and similar to the way Florida State does with the Seminole Nation. And it could be a model that, you know, says, hey, we respect it, this is what, now I know part of it also has to do with the private groups, the private youth groups that use the symbol. I'm not sure how some of them use. I do know there's only the DYFL, the Football League, uses it, which of course is just a natural progression. And I think any type of licensing or authorization should come from the school department, because it is a symbol that typifies the school sports teams. But I also think, and somehow we have to work with this, is that bear in the room that nobody wants to talk about is Dartmouth College. I think the town needs to sit down with Dartmouth College and hash something finally out. Because, I mean, we have the letter D, which is, everybody has the letter D, but they're the ones who trademark the letter. So, you know, do we go with a new letter D that's not trademarked? Because if just a quick review of all the trademarks Dartmouth College did, there's over 300 of them. So we have to sit down and talk to that bear, and let's, you know, come up with something agreeable. They allowed it once before, so let's talk about it now. But I think better, once we have that agreement with, you know, the Equina, I think that's the important, that's the key one, because it is a federally recognized tribe. But I think once we have that in hand, then we can go to Dartmouth College and say, look, here's the model, let's talk. And let's see, then we can,
Chair?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm going to stand by my my statements that I've made earlier, some of our school committee meetings in which, moving forward, part of my stipulation when I voted to affirm the logo was that we definitely need not only the curriculum piece, as we've all said, but we also need to do something special. We have the opportunity here in the town of Dartmouth to become, I know we've said it a number of times, different people, whether we're, a model town for the state, maybe the nation, but we have a good opportunity, not only with the Aquinnah tribe, but with all of our the local tribes in the area. And I think in order to make this work successfully, and bring some inclusion to this, we definitely need to, have it across the board, the school department, the towns, all the different buildings. And I believe in some of our school committee meetings, or the last one, Dr. Gifford brought up the idea of forming a committee similar to Healthy Dartmouth, that we engage, not an official group, subcommittee group, but a group made up of any interested stakeholders, and I think there would be, and certainly should be, a number of interested parties with that. But at the end of the day, I think long range here is I think we have the opportunity to do something good for this community, and not just be another vote in which we're just affirming a logo and that's all there is to it. We're better than this, and we need to make sure that we look at the big picture here. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Dave, I'll go. Thank you, Mr. Oliver. I concur with all of that. My roots, as you know, run deep in Dartmouth, but I do feel that we have been missing the boat by not providing an adequate education to our students so that they respect not only the logo, but respect the natives of our land. So that being said, I really do want to make sure that the school department holds up this end of the bargain and looks at where they're going to be putting, local history education, typically at third grade. I'm not sure the other grade levels, because of course, my lens was always elementary. But I do think that it's important that that happens, and that we make sure we have a native lens in that education and not just a white man's lens. Mary.
Oh, so I just wanted to speak to that a bit, because I was really concerned about, that we hadn't formalized education as part of our motion when we talked about it, although I think that certainly is across the board our intent. And I, certainly when it comes to curriculum, I do want to share that there has been a lot of work that's already been done, and I think that's going to be progressive. As of 2018, there was a new social studies curriculum that was put forth, and there's really natural extensions within that curriculum. I've already actually gone through just to kind of take a gander and see what's available between, adding resources at kindergarten to talk about families. Well, let's have some books in our, library and in pre-K and to talk about family and tradition. And then as you move through, when we talk about artifacts, we can already see that Quinn is doing some work around an artifact museum around Native Americans. So I think there's really, and Dr. Gifford and her team is already looking at this. She's already we have 2 new curriculum folks who are going to come in and extend this work. But I think, again, in all fairness, a lot of it's happening, it's not being showcased. And I think, as we think through the identity of this town and how we want to move forward, one of the partnerships that I'd like to see continue is a way for as we come together, for the town to help showcase the efforts of this school, and maybe those displays that we see at the library are some of the works that the kids are doing in the schools or in the kiosks. And I've talked a little bit about, I've been developing separately a kiosk project that's not from the schools, that's just kind of on my own volition with, and I've showed it to Mr. McGinnis, and I don't know if Dave has been able to take a look. But again, I think we have a lot of historic sites as you go around the town, that certainly like Russell's Garrison, but not just around Native American history, but around our unique history, the harbor, and building that. As we look at those sites, I think the kiosks that are there are great. They give a lot of information in 350. I think if we employ our students to design like something maybe a little bit, we have these tremendous art students, we could make those, what if we follow through with the wayside exhibits or these new kiosks, we could make something that's a little bit more engaging for like all age groups. And that would be an opportunity to, again, get into some of the content, showcase maybe through a QR code where you can connect to a website, see what, our students are doing in the across the board in the schools, as well as, possibly having display cases over at the library where we showcase some of the artwork that our students just did. We saw coiled, one of the projects of the art show was these coiled vases that were done by, in the Native American fashion. So I think there's all sorts of ways that we can work together, but I do want to give credit to the team that's here, because I've seen that they really are starting this work in earnest. So,
Good to hear.
my 2 cents.
I would like to say that I did a little more research into the healthy Dartmouth concept, and I think it was good. But I would like to, my point of view is that I think we need to go a step further than that. I think that the time has come for the town to look at this from a total town issue. The school committee is charged with deciding how and when that logo is used. You've made that decision, and that's the way it should be unless there's a movement to change it. That's not our purview. But as a town-wide issue, how we educate and how we respect and what we do with this logo and the concept of Native Americans around our town, I think it should be town-wide. I think I would propose that we formalize a formal committee to be made up of suggestion, a school committee member, a faculty member, a select board member, tribal member or members, and even to approach the historical commission in town to see if there's interest there where they have access to all these different sites and things. I saw the work you did, Mary. It's fantastic, and I think there's people out there now. Many people voted just to keep it going. Okay, we're going to keep it going. But I think many, many more people voted to support to do more than what we've ever done before. We owe it to our town, to tribal members, and we owe it to the country, because we can be different, to make our town do what we say we want to do, which is to honor our history in a way that is respectful and good or bad, whatever that history is. So I would propose that we do it, and this committee would be charged with coordinating this effort, working with the entities to come up with a plan. And lastly, I would hope that we can have something formal for the educational component to start formally in the fall semester, whatever that might be, to get it started. I know there's things going on, but I think that we all have an obligation to get this going as formally as we can. And I have not dug deep into what you've done, so I know it's been a lot done anyway.
Dave, I have one more. One more piece that I just wanted to share, that DESE has put out information from a group called Discovering Justice, and they have an elementary civics curriculum, Children Discovering Justice, grades K to 5, and at 3rd grade, the topic is Indigenous Justice. The model itself is not completely created, so there's another opportunity that Dartmouth could participate in forming that. The components that are created at this time are kindergarten, A Just Community, Fairness, Rules, and Justice, which is available for the fall. Grade 1, Voting, Leadership, Community, and Justice. And Grade 2, Justice and the Environment. The Grade 3 is going to be created at this point going forth, with the possible piloting of in 23-24. In grade 4, it's going to be immigration justice, again, for school year 23-24. And then for school year 24-25, for 5th grade, it's freedom of speech or civil rights. So the civics focus that they're doing, we have an opportunity to participate with them in creating that curriculum. I was on a webinar and talked to them about what's going on in Dartmouth, and so I really do think that there's a possibility of getting our foot in the door.
The concept of the townwide committee, are we in a position to discuss it, come up with a plan or reaction to it? And I personally, whatever you want to say to me is okay, I can take it.
I would not be comfortable in voting on that tonight. I think the public deserves to be aware of what we're planning to do and have the ability to comment on
Yep.
that before we vote on that. So I'm open to the concept of that, but I'd like to have it posted on an agenda so people could come and publicly comment on that.
Agreed.
Great.
For me. We could do the same on our end, have a discussion maybe at our next meeting as well.
I think that would be great. And I know that Dr. Gifford has also been in contact with the Mashpee School Department and the assistant superintendent there about how they
Right.
interact with the Mashpee tribe, the
Yep.
Wampanoags. So I'm sure that Dr. Gifford can bring us some good feedback.
That fellow spoke with great passion
Yeah.
at one of the discussions.
Just one of the things, I think from our perspective, from my work with our directors, our teachers that develop curriculum, et cetera, it's almost like our work will run parallel. Like we would have representatives on a working, the committee you're speaking about,
Yeah.
representatives see what's happening, what people are thinking, but then our work itself would be running parallel to that, obviously.
100%. Yeah. I think that's the,
As we usually do. We develop curriculum and things like that. We were even thinking of in all of our facilities, like plaques that in each of them that speak, have a little paragraph about how we're honoring the Native Americans, et cetera. So those kinds of things would certainly come out of a committee like that.
if I in any way, from my point of view, the curriculum is a school committee administration issue. All we can do is, this committee would support whatever you
Inform
do,
it.
but certainly not, and as a board here, we have no right, no place to be involved, but we can talk about it in part of this
Exactly.
group. And I think that, I feel very strongly about that myself, so.
Good.
So, the plan at this point would be to put it on the separate agendas?
Yep.
And then,
We'll put it on our next agenda.
Sound okay?
We'll go from there.
Great.
That's great.
That's good. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, now let's get to the fun part. Review of school budget.
Yes, as part of developing the warrant, we've had some discussions, and I presented to the Select Board and Finance Committee an overview of the budget. But since we're having the joint meeting, I thought maybe Mr. Kiley could just give a brief overview of the budget just for the Select Board.
Sure. We met with the FinCom back a while ago, back on March 31st, and sort of went through similar information. So I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it with you folks. So the FY23 budget we are proposing is $49,383,406. Of that, instruction makes up about 75% of the total budget. Other services are the next largest area. So that's transportation, athletics, other student activities, the health portion of our budget, the nurses. That's about 11%. Maintenance and utilities, including the custodians and everything we do to keep the buildings running, is about 8%. Tuitions, so that's out-of-district tuition, so those are kids that we're not able to serve in-house. That's about 4%, and administration is about 2%. So that's all pretty consistent with, it actually all falls within the rounding from last year. So just so you know. But we do have some changes in individual categories. The instruction area is about a 5.4% increase. So that's related primarily to contractual obligations. So salaries and other benefits that we're contractually obligated to. The administration area is a slight decrease, 8.9%, and that is related to the restructuring of the Director of Teaching and Learning position. I'll mention that again in a minute here. The maintenance and utilities budget, that's really just projected cost. It's about a 3% increase. Other services, just under 3% increase, again, just based on contractual obligations that we have. Is a little bit impacted by the minimum wage increase. We have some staff that we do pay in certain positions at minimum wage, and obviously that's going up more than the normal 2.5%, 3%. But, so that does impact us there. And then tuitions are about a 4 and change percent increase. And that is largely due to the Department of Ed sets rates every year for special ed tuitions and lets us know what they're going to be, and we have to pay them. So that's what that comes up to. So a 4.7% increase in our total overall budget. So what are the key things outside of the standard contractual obligations and the projections for things like utilities and transportation? Well, there's a few things in the budget that we did add. We added a teacher at the Quinn School for approximately $60,000. We had some class size issues. Every year we evaluate, try and see if we have ways to save money related to enrollment and class size, or in some cases we have to step up to the plate and fund additional staff so that we can maintain a healthy class size for kids. So we looked at the Quinn School, one particular grade, and it really wasn't equitable, and we were looking at more than 27 kids in a classroom, and it was so we decided that we would build one teacher into the budget to solve that problem. So the restructuring of the Director of Teaching and Learning is, there's a few years of history in this. So when Michelle Roy retired as Assistant Superintendent, we did not immediately replace that position. We then since then have decided that we would benefit and the students would benefit by having 2 Directors of Teaching and Learning, one at the secondary level and one at the elementary level. So for a number of reasons, there are great differences between those levels in terms of what we're trying to accomplish and how we're trying to accomplish it. And we thought that we'd be a much stronger department having 2 people working side by side, developing and making sure that the transition between grade levels is working well. So what we did was we took essentially the assistant superintendent position 2 years ago out of the budget, and now we're building back in another administrator, but this person is really instruction focused and based on teaching and learning. So, and just so you know, that the cost of that for us in the budget was about $136,000, so the change from the prior year. Now that is net of some grant funding. So grant funding does pay Title I and another grant also pay part of the salaries for these positions. So the net cost to us was about $136,000. The other thing is registered behavior technician. That's an assistant position for us. We built in monies into the budget. We built in $49,000 into the budget. It's not the salary in the position. Salary is less than that. But what we needed to do was try and develop some capacity in-house in this area. So we have staff currently, assistants currently being trained to obtain their registered behavior technician licensure, so that they can respond and help us. So we are, really trying to promote the capacity of our in-house folks. And these funds will also provide training for other staff members. So those are the things that we built in. So those things are about $250,000. We had about $750,000 of proposals that were made, and I've spoken to all of you before about our process, and we have a lot of thoughtful proposals from our administrators and our schools that come to us that we would love to be able to fund. Unfortunately, we're not always able to do that. So that amounted to about $750,000. Would have been another 1.5 point increase on the budget, and would have been gotten us up to about 6.3. Obviously, we want to be cognizant of limited resources, so we weren't able to build in all that stuff. There is a list there. There's lots of good things. In fact, we've decided to incorporate some of those find a way to still support some of those activities. We have, for FY '23 and '24, we have about $3 million of ESSER funding left. ESSER is COVID relief funding that came from the federal level. We, in FY '22, the current year, are supporting about $1.5 million of expenditures through the ESSER 2 grant. In '23 and '24, it'll be the ESSER 3 grant. And after that, I don't know if there's ever going to be another ESSER grant, but we're really trying to, remedy the impacts of the pandemic and address the needs of kids, and we're doing that in lots of different ways. But so that is also going to support some of these requests that we weren't able to fund. The other way that we're going to utilize, the other thing we're going to utilize is some school choice funding. So, we've been fortunate. We're participating in the school choice program. We have about 120 kids from other communities that attend Dartmouth High School, about approximately 30 in a grade level. So that provides us with about $600,000 a year in funding. And we are utilizing that to support a variety of different initiatives throughout the school department. And we'll be assisting with some of these things, especially in hopes that some of them are temporary. Like all the schools were very concerned about increased prices due to the economic environment that we're in. That's a reality. We're seeing it. And we did not build all that into the budget. So we're going to support it through school choice, and our hope is that maybe someday things get better and the economy sort of recovers, and we're not seeing escalated prices like we are for some of the things that we need to do our jobs. But so that's sort of a brief overview, kind of as brief as I could make it for you. But I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
I'll ask a question. It sounds like the needs of behavioral specialists or social workers, are you able to fund some? But I would assume that a lot of that is recent as a result of the pandemic kind of requests?
It is. Our ESSER funding has, been instrumental with that. We wouldn't have been able to do what we're doing to support kids. It's a significant need we've recognized, and that was the point, part of the point of of that funding, to address immediate needs and the impact of the pandemic.
But you still had requests that were denied even with the ESSER funding as well.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. And it's very significant. We're seeing.
Can I also elaborate on that, though?
Sure.
The increase in teen mental health issues in particular predates the pandemic. I'm reading a book about this now. It is expected to, so it's not like we can do a couple years, and it was going way up even before the pandemic, and now it's even more.
Yeah.
So the need for those services isn't going to go away even after a few years after the pandemic.
Have you been able to gauge some of the successes of the program where you have people in place that you think are effective?
I think with the social workers, et cetera, people supporting kiddos, I think the ability for keeping kids in school, keeping them safe, we have a lot of data on that. Students that have been having problems, crisis, et cetera, but then with the work through our schools, a lot of success stories.
Right. Thank you.
And if I just may add, just personally, anecdotally, in terms of those registered behavior technicians, it's really that skill set, that nuanced skill set to really make or break redirecting a child to access the curriculum. Personally, am impacted by that skill set for my own son, and it is critical for students, and those needs are just getting bigger, and it's critical.
So just to piggyback on what Kathleen said, in the budget where they're talking about the registered behavioral technician, it is not a social worker position.
Right.
No.
It's completely different. Of course, I knew exactly what I was looking at when I looked at the budget. But I do want to say that I think it's very helpful, now having been in another district as well, that you include the unfunded positions, because I think it's really important for the folks at this table and the folks at home to know the utopian, if the school department could have everything they wished for, what that would look like. That, not only on this piece, but even looking at the CIP, things that you've requested, and looking at some of the things that you've put off for following years, and I know that's always done very, with a lot of thought, but
I know, if you, like one I want to mention, and it may seem, it's like not a must-have, but a nice-to-have, and I think when we're in Dartmouth, we want to provide kids with every opportunity we can, all outside the box even, but if you notice, like a music teacher, that wasn't going to be like a choral teacher, et cetera. That's, the director brought forth that as students producing music, and with all the new technology, and just starting that at a young age, and because so many kids are interested. You know, again, it's a nice to have, so we didn't include it, but wow, to be able to have kids have that opportunity and grow that department even more, so.
And having seen kids in 5th grade, where I am now, writing music on GarageBand.
Right, it's amazing. And it's a whole nother...
It's amazing.
Something they can pursue as a career, so it's just...
At an early age.
Stanley, go ahead.
I just want to congratulate you. As usual, wonderful presentation. You'll be giving it in a few more weeks.
Yeah, we'll hear it again.
And those are the people you need to provide with that type of information. You know, the budget is the budget. It's still, it's 4.5, 5% more than it was. It's a big nut. And I'm not saying I support it. I'm just mentioning it as an outside observer and what we will be up against at town meeting. And how you described how all this money is going to be distributed, and how much more money the school department needs, and a lot more than 4.5%. But you did a great job. You know, I always support the school department. And again, but you know, be game ready.
I also see that you have $2.8 million of grants.
Right.
Beyond what the town supports you with, and school choice money, which is relatively new. And I know that there were always a concern with enrollment at high school classes with the number of students that we take in at school choice. But I haven't, had a conversation in a couple of years, and how is that going, especially now that we are no longer doing the block scheduling? How is this better?
Yeah, it's been going well. We just took a look at, even over the last number of years, of the decrease in the population in general, and know we still have room, so it's going well.
The 120 students for the choice.
Approximately. We give or take.
That includes, in the school, the population at the high school now is 1,000, just over 1,000? Not, just under 1,000.
Under now.
And that includes the 120 students. Do we see that trend continuing? Population?
And the number of students that, and Jim might have it, go off to VOC, we have to compensate for that, so, which we know, and then.
But we see the continued decrease in the population at the high school?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
Maybe not in 10 years.
Maybe not, right.
But
it'll
when
go as the town goes, obviously.
Well, I meant the short term. The trend has been a few less each year.
Yeah.
Gonna have COVID babies.
Mr. McDonald, anything?
We were actually down 0.2% this year.
Yeah.
So,
Not a lot.
not a lot.
Not huge.
The
but-
total?
Not a lot. 0.2, yeah.
Of our school choice students,
Hang on, Heidi.
oh, sorry.
That's all right. No, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, is there data on how many enter, and do they stick with us for their 4 years?
We do keep track of that, and the vast majority
Yes.
stay. I think we had
Almost all.
one withdrawal this year. So,
Were they gonna go back to Westport? Sorry. Mr. McDonald?
Tough crowd.
The current current per pupil spending, where Dartmouth is at now, what percentage of this? I know it's well below the state,
16,
but 16%?
16% below the state average.
Okay, so.
If we had that number, and I'm gonna get Mr. Chairman upset,
I already got it.
$9.5 million.
Well, I figured it at 10.3.
Yeah.
So-
What's $500,000 among friends, Sean?
Right. So in essence, the wish list is not so much those items there, it's just to get to state average in the per pupil spending. And if so, your budget would be about $10 million more.
Right.
Right. Well,
Correct.
we've given, I know since my time back in finance, it's been over $1 million a year, and we still can't catch up because I think we're getting worse, not better, but the bottom line to all that is what we do and what you get out of a dollar. Any business in the country, in the world, would be envious.
So I will be the broken record and also bring up that maybe 2 or 3 years ago, Mr. Kiley can tell me when it was, we commissioned a study of our capital needs. Our school buildings are old. They're all old, very
Same age.
old. We as a town need to come up with a plan for how we're gonna replace schools. And I nearly keeled over from a heart attack when I heard the cost of what we're talking about, entry level, the cheapest plan, to start thinking about 1 or 2 schools. So that may be another thing as a town that we need to have a conversation about, because we don't have a plan. I know you guys don't exactly have brand spanking new buildings either, but we need to come up with some sort of plan about how we're gonna replace these things.
My
'cause
answer to that
right.
would be that I think that we need to have a separate meeting.
Yeah, but I don't want
independent.
us to forget that, because.
No, the meeting would be for long-term capital spending
Yep.
in schools.
I think it needs to be, I think it's good, I mean, I'd love for it to just be about us, but really, it's gotta be about the whole town.
No, but I think we need to start with, perspective from the schools, or what does it look like, what's your projection, then we have to move on from there, so.
Well, I mean, to be perfectly honest with you,
Right ahead, Jim.
I mean, it took us 100 years to get us a police station.
First
Okay?
one.
I mean, literally, it took us 100 years to get a police station.
The other eye opener is,
And our newest school is over 20 years old.
And it's
Okay,
due for a
and-
new roof.
And you have 2 schools, that are still younger than Stanley, but they're still old. So, I mean,
Don't forget, we're
I have
sitting
to work
in an
that in.
old school building as
I have to work
well.
that in.
I would propose
I
you
mean,
therefore.
But we
it's just-
can't kick the can down the street. And
If Mr. McDonald's saying that it took 100 years for a police station,
We're due.
we're already
We're
behind
due.
the 8 ball with
Right,
planning
you
for
got 2
schools.
elementary schools that were built in the 50s, you got a high school that, a middle school that was built in the 50s, you got an elementary school that was built in 64, okay? And you're using a pre-K or that was built in like 1920.
Correct.
Right,
And DeMello and Potter were 59,
Yeah.
with the new wing added in 69.
right. So, I mean, we know this, and we know that there's more to it. This building is an old pool school. It was reclaimed. It has served its usefulness. There are some inadequacies in this building when it comes to this department, but for the time being, this is a good reclamation project. But the town has to talk about replacing this building, and as with most buildings, the least expensive building is to have it all on one floor. So you're not shelling out $500,000 for an elevator, and unfortunately, in this time now is that you have all these costs rising, so that sets off another thing, and the other thing the municipalities are hamstring with is the Davis-Bacon Act.
Chapter 149.
Right, so there's a lot of that, I mean, at least on the school end, you have some type of reimbursement from the state. Dartmouth, unfortunately, is at 50%, and when it comes to the town side, there is no reimbursement, so.
I'm going to put some teeth into the discussion, and that, to commit to a separate meeting, a lengthy meeting, separate from our regular board and yours, with the focus to be on school buildings. And yes, there are issues of other buildings, but I think we need to talk to you about the schools.
Prioritize
Need
each
to put them
building.
all together.
Yeah, and
Prioritize
do the
each
research, whatever it is, so that
whatever you guys-
whatever Mr. Kiley, Mr. Gibbs come up with as to what we should have in front of us to have the discussion, and let's get something
I mean,
specific.
We've got our
rolling.
report from, 5 years ago.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's like 5 years ago.
The scary part is, we built the police station for $13 million, and this new rec center, which is basically a big gym, is gonna be more than that. So the prices aren't exactly going down.
We're not
Inflation
even
is
in the, you're not even in the ballpark when you're talking.
No, I know, that's for the lobby.
Look what they did, look at the cost in Fall River alone, for that school.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling.
And it's already
Wow.
outgrown.
It's a reality we need to deal with, so we'll look forward to doing that at the right
At
time.
80% reimbursement.
Anybody else have any comments on the budgets or questions
Yeah.
from here? Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
McGinnis, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Okay,
See you at town meeting, if not before.
Chairman,
sir.
can we take a 2-minute break while everybody kind of...
Absolutely, 100%. Well, 2-minute break, we'll be back in session.
Thank you.
Extraordinary guest and presenter coming up now. Our veterans agent? No. No?
Joint meeting with the Board of
Joint
Public
meeting
Works.
with the,
Oh, my God, that's right, sorry, I jumped on, okay, forgive me. Where are they?
they're here.
Sorry, Matt.
Can they come down here? Sorry, guys. How did I skip over that? Don't worry about it.
And Rob Almy should be
Right.
joining us via Zoom.
Hi there.
I just want to mention, I failed to mention earlier that Mr. Gracie, the Select Board member, is on Zoom, attend the meeting, and Rob Almy, the Chair of the Department of Public Works, is also on Zoom. You on Zoom, Stanley?
I don't want to.
Are you on Zoom?
No.
You're here, okay.
I think they're bringing Rob
Hi there.
on.
Yeah. Frank is,
Rosie gets Robert.
Hi, Dave.
Hey, Ron.
How are you? Now that we spent all that money in the school committee, in the schools,
Yeah, well,
what's left?
everybody passed out.
Okay. Okay, waiting for everyone to get on board.
Mr. Chairman, this is Rob Almy with the Public Works Board. I'm having computer problems, so I can see you, but I can't get a picture. So I'm here to participate. And if Mr. Lavelle is here,
I'm
we
here.
have a quorum.
We can hear you,
Because
Rob.
one of our-
Mr. Elmy, we can
Yeah.
hear you.
Okay.
So,
Do you want me to give them a start?
yeah, maybe we have some introductions first, okay?
Ronald LaBelle, Board of Public Works for the town of Dartmouth.
Steve Sullivan for the Water Power.
Okay. Mr.
Mr.
McGinnis.
Almy.
And Mr. Almy, I said before. Mr. Almy is the chair of the Department of Public Works. Thank you.
Yes.
So, we asked to have this joint meeting with the select board. As you know, there's been a search in place for the new director of the Department of Public Works. There was a meeting previously where the Board of Public Works requested to reinitiate the search. Tim Barber has been acting as the interim superintendent for about almost a year and a half now. So as part of the new search, we formed an internal search committee which consisted of Mr. LaBelle, Mr. Sullivan, Brian O'Hare from our Finance Committee, Select Board Member Mickelson, and myself. We reviewed a number of applications. We met multiple times. We selected 5 candidates to interview. As the result of those interviews, we agreed to bring forth Tim Barber as a finalist candidate for both of the boards to interview again and meet, and Tim is here this evening to answer any questions and provide additional information. Tim's experience, Tim's been with the town for over 20 years.
22, yeah.
22 years. He has been in the engineering department, but he's been obviously involved in the Department of Public Works for a long time. He's been filling in admirably for the past year and a half. He's been very collaborative, working both with the town and other departments, and he's been able to fill the role adequately. So the committee decided to move him forward in that regard for the permanent position.
We begin with questions?
If you have any questions for Tim, or Tim can give an overview of his experience and his time in Dartmouth and what he's done in the past year as the interim and his other qualifications.
You know, I grew up in Dartmouth. I went through all schools in Dartmouth, including UMass Dartmouth, for engineering. I've been working for the Department of Public Works since 1998 and worked through the engineering division, a senior engineering position, and as recently the director, the interim director. I believe I built a good relationship with all of the town departments and agencies, as well as the staff, and we all work well together. And I understand the town. That I have a lot of pride in Dartmouth, and I would love to move forward and be the director formally.
Questions?
Yeah.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes, thank you. First of all, nice tie.
Where'd that come from?
Yeah, no, I've never seen him in a tie before, so I just wondering.
Next.
Tim, let me ask you a question. Over the last 12 years sitting on this board, one of the things that keeps coming up is DPW operations and whatnot. How open are you, and this is also a question to the board, of taking a look at the organization, taking a microscope and looking at the organization and taking a look at what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, how you can change to improve the weaknesses, but also how you can improve on your strengths in delivering services to people who need the services. And there are some really glaring I guess, comments, questions, criticisms with the DPW. One of them, of course, is the orange bags. We're not going to go there. But in looking at the services and looking at the staffing, can we start looking at, pay as you throw in the way, the same manner as we're doing the recycling with the one-arm trucks with the barrels and stuff like that? Is that type of thing? Has that been looked at to see if it can be improved on the efficiency? The most important thing, I guess, at that point would be, it would be better for the overall health of the people lifting the bags every day, as type of things, cutting down on injury time. I'm looking at Steve now, it's for the water, how can we take a look at, improving communications, but also telling the public exactly what we're doing with the water, with the water and how the services are being rendered and what's going on. And then also looking at it for our customers, which are basically the contractors coming in, looking at different types of roads, cuts, drainage lines and whatnot, how we can improve that process to make it a little easier for them, but also making the process, and probably know the answer is you're willing to do that because it'll only make everybody's job easier. But how far are we willing to go and getting something like that done?
Well, we've included studies in our budget this year for each individual department: water, wastewater, solid waste and recycling, and admin. The timing of the studies may be differential because we're currently working on a full water system evaluation due to some of the water quality issues that we've had in the past few years, and as well as some of the issues that we had when we had that large rainstorm, when we had 6 inches and we had an E. coli hit in our wells. Never got out to the distribution system, but we had to shut down those wells as well. So we're doing a full evaluation of the water system. So until we have a cost-based design and analysis on what we have to do in the future, it may not be prudent to do a study right now, but we have to wait until we have the cost to upgrade the system and the exact design, as well as once we have that cost, we can build it in and figure out what the rates should be.
Because I know the town is, at least on coming here, the online permitting process has made it a lot easier, for the flow of work. And just wondering, how we can dovetail that with improving, every department in town, not just the DPW, every department.
Right. And when we look at solid waste and recycling, as far as, changing to either an armed system like recycling, or the current rear-loaded Packers actually have an armed system on the back, but it still has to be assisted by
excuse me,
by staff, and also for inspectional purposes, someone would have to look in all the barrels. It'll assist in lifting. It's not going to lower any of the cost. It'll probably cost more, and we may have to still stay with a bag system, just for the cost, to keep the cost equal among the residents on how much they're discarding per week.
Dave?
All set, John?
Yeah, all set.
Mr. Brooks?
Tim, I don't want good news and bad news being here tonight as the candidate of choice. You've been with the department a number of years, and you've been the interim now for some time. having been an interim before, you always have ideas of what you could do. So what are some of the things that you see taking the lead that the department needs to work on?
So prior to me becoming the interim director, I was in the engineering division, and we worked with, you know, I had 4 staff rather than 74, and I didn't really deal with the hierarchy of the whole department at that time. But since I've been there, I'd say that my first day as interim director, I had a grievance on my desk with regards to, you know, some of the reclassification and how that changed the hierarchy and the pay scales, and that continued for the whole year. It was a constant grievances, and we were dealing with it. So I get to study all the divisions and all the personnel and how everything worked. And I think we're trying to move forward with some succession planning. You know, trying to push people to get licensing in water and wastewater. It requires some higher licensing in the lower levels to create that succession planning at higher levels. You know, like the water division back years ago, I believe it was during a budget crunch, they when personnel moved, there used to be a superintendent and an assistant superintendent in the water division, and when that person, the assistant, moved to the highway division, that assistant position was never filled, and I believe it was to budgetary reasons. And we've had another position as well in the water division who dealt with cross connections and sampling and testing. That wasn't filled either. So I'm looking at, you know, possibly filling an assistant superintendent position who has the licenses to create more of that succession planning in the future. If we have it, you know, eventually the superintendent's going to retire and we'll need to fill that position, so we want to have that backup.
We've talked a lot on this board when we've met with the finance committee recently about the boards and their succession plans, but also, you know, just as someone who has worked at in a leveled position that would occasionally have a grievance, there are always opportunities to learn. And that's the way to address them and not to be offended by receiving one. It's an opportunity for both sides to learn the job better.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
I guess you have learned a little bit more. Yes, Dave.
Hello, Tim.
Hello.
I look at it from a little bit higher view, but I've had some really interesting conversations with Chairman. I guess he's been here a while already, but I see an enthusiasm and a knowledge from Mr. Almy that really is refreshing and I think much needed in a new board with very qualified people and I've watched a few meetings and I see, from my perspective, a whole new approach to the DPW. And along you come with all the headaches you inherited without a succession plan, and you're thrown to the wolves. And, you know, we're surviving. But the problem with all that is that this has become a more visible department than ever in town. This is people's lives with water and whatever, and I think that our residents expect the most from us.
Absolutely.
And we're looking for a new HR director, which is going to help us to get into the 21st century of benefits, of grievances, and succession plans, et cetera. And I think that we can, as a town, should be able to help the DPW with those kinds of issues as well, because you're the third largest department in town, but the most visible of all, because it affects people's lives every day. And I think there's a really fantastic opportunity, not only for you, but for the board, to reinvent, you know, the direction of the town, the priorities as far as DPW goes. And I think it's your advantage here is you've done it now for a while, but now you can then take charge.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I hope, I'm all for promoting from within, but it's a giant responsibility, and I know you know that better than I do. A lot of people, and it's certainly the personalities and the levels of responsibility at DPW. Someone who drives a plow and is really talented versus senior engineers, it's quite an assortment of people. And to serve all those people and direct them is quite a job. So I think it's a giant challenge, and I hope that we as a town can also help the town, the DPW, and you as a director to make it work better for the town as well. I think the select board can be, participate in that as well. So I look, should we get together and it works, I look forward to a regular evaluations of what we do and how we do it, and to try to assist the DPW in ways that we can make it work even better.
I look forward to that.
Mr. Chairman,
Donald?
yeah, are you looking for a motion?
It would, both boards would have to make an approval, so.
All right, so the question, the DPW, Mr. Almy, you posted this meeting for yourself, right, in your board?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, the DPW board meets in a couple of weeks, and I think the board, as the appointing authority, would appreciate if there is a joint recommendation from this meeting with respect to moving forward with Mr. Barber, and whether you recommend we negotiate with him to offer him a position.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion that,
So just to clarify, Mr. Almy, so the boards would make a motion to appoint Mr. Barber to the position of Director of Public Works pending successful negotiation of compensation.
right, and that would be my motion.
Sorry.
Not quite.
I just want to clarify.
Yeah, I think it would be a little bit cleaner if the boards meeting together recommended to the Public Works Board, which is the appointing authority, that we recommend together that the Public Works Board appoint Mr. Barber and negotiate with him. The reason for that is we're missing one of our members tonight. Mr. Alvis is the Public Works Director for a different town, and he had a Conservation Commission meeting that he couldn't get out of. So I'd like him to be able to review the tape of this meeting, and then feel that he can independently act on a recommendation.
So the motion is not only pending the DPW's recommendation, but also contract negotiations.
To recommend, yes, that the Board of Public Works appoint Mr. Barber.
We can do the same.
The select board signs the final contract, so you would have final review of the contract, but the Board of Public Works appoints and sets.
So, all right.
It's our charter, yes.
So, in essence, then, it would be the Board of Public Works would be the ones to make the recommendation as to who they hire for the Director of Public Works, and then that would come to our board for ratification?
No. They, according to the charter, they are tasked with appointing the Board of Public Works Director and setting the compensation. There is a personal contract that the select board signs that contract.
Right, so in other words, so they can do that, and then the contract comes to us for a ratification.
Correct.
So.
Do we need to vote on that tonight?
So,
no, we haven't seen it, no.
No, but, all right.
So you would make a recommendation.
So then my motion would be that we send a memo to the Board of Public Works that the Select Board recommends that they appoint Tim Barber to the Director of Public Works for the town of Dartmouth.
Second.
That works.
Mr. Chairman, do you want that to be a memo reflecting that we had a joint meeting?
It would be a memo to the DPW Board that the Select
Correct.
Board recommends the appointment of Tim Barber.
All right.
At the joint meeting.
At the joint meeting.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, at our meeting of,
Yeah,
He wants that in
May
there,
ninth.
at the joint meeting.
right.
This is a real,
Do we all vote on that?
any comment, what's that?
I didn't know if we all needed to vote.
Any comments or questions before we vote? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Opposed?
I think
Unanimous.
Frank said aye, too.
Okay. Is that all we need to do?
That's it.
Mr. Elmy, when is your meeting?
Couple weeks, right?
I believe it's the 29th at 7:30 in the morning. You're welcome to tune in.
7:30.
Thank you.
Yeah, This Public Works Department begins its days early. So we meet early as a courtesy to them. And they are posted, and we currently are having Zoom meetings, so they're easy to listen in or participate as you wish.
Okay. That it for you, Mr. Almy? We all set?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your time, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And,
Thanks for the work
and
you
lady.
guys do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you all.
Good luck.
Have a great night. Thanks, I'll need it.
Okay. Now,
If you want to take the veteran services officer out of order, so he's
Yeah,
at the
because he's
home.
sitting here.
isn't he, did you do the one?
No, we have
Just
to,
make sure
Yeah.
that after the 29th, whatever they do when it comes before us, that he gets introduced at our meeting.
so we have to vote and sign the warrant, but that takes a little time. I don't know if you want to take the veteran
Yes.
service officer out.
We're going to go a little bit out of sequence and call on our Veteran Services Officer for his presentation.
Good evening, ma'am, gentlemen.
Thank you for waiting for us.
Not a problem, thank you for having me. So, I just wanted to give you a brief update on what's been going on over the last 3 years in the Veterans Office. Most recently, I've collaborated with DCDV on the release of a PSA to Dartmouth veterans regarding eligibility of entitlements with the state, the VA, and updates on upcoming events. It is now airing. We completed that on the 20th of April. I must say, they do a really good job down there. It's a lot harder than it looks. It took me a few tries, and we got something out, which was great. So I'm working daily now at the Council on Aging and their team down there, which makes it a lot easier to meet the needs of the community and to understand where the overlaps in service are and where the gaps can be filled. Excuse me. I am conducting a total of 3 monthly Veterans Corners throughout the community, the Dartmouth Cottages, Cedar Dell, as well as the Council on Aging. These small gatherings of both men and women are who have served our country mostly during World War II and the Korean conflict. It's a very rewarding experience each time. I'm focusing my energy this year, opening the lines of communication between the female veteran population and the Dartmouth Veterans Service Office. I recently mailed out an introduction letter along with a brief survey to as many veteran females as I could using the most recent census. Those surveys, I've also made those surveys available to all Dartmouth veterans, and those are available at the clerk's office, the front desk at the COA, and I've also distributed them to the leadership of the VFW and the American Legion to give out to those veterans. Parade preparations are well underway. Confirmations from the Police Department, Representative Chris Markey, Dartmouth Gold Star family, Mr. Enos, UMass Dartmouth, Bristol County Sheriff's Office, the high school and middle school bands. I'm also coordinating with the Dartmouth Community Band this year and trying to figure out how we can get them incorporated. I'm also working with Cedar Dell and the Cottages on the participation of the veterans living there to use the vans provided by the two respective communities. Most recently, I've given you a packet. I'm not sure if you have it. I've collaborated with the Parks Department to determine the responsibilities of the Dartmouth Veterans Advisory Board with regards to the veterans monuments and the upkeep throughout the year. Monuments have been divided between the Parks Department and the Advisory Board with regards to annual maintenance. Tim Lancaster and the Parks Department are a huge asset to my office. They address the banners every year on Elm Street, as well as issues with flags and replacing the lines and whatnot. In May of 2021, the Advisory Board and I completed Operation Thank You. This was an endeavor to bring awareness to the community of the lives lost here in Dartmouth since World War I by inscribing their names on a plaque with a shadow box above displaying the American flag proudly in every town building to include schools, libraries, and municipal buildings. I've also created the Dartmouth Veterans the Greater Dartmouth Veterans Pool Tournament with cash prizes by the generosity of local groups with a catered lunch provided. The tournament includes eight veterans from 60 to 94, and we were fortunate enough to have approximately 50 spectators to enjoy it. Now, here in Dartmouth, I I can kind of go off script a bit and do some things that the typical VSO couldn't do, given the generosity of the folks down at with the Dartmouth Friends of the Elderly and Maria O'Connor. So I've been able to help folks in the veterans within the community, getting recliners that help them get to their feet, getting stair lifts and things like that, free of charge. And it's, like I said, I just, having the center named after Maria O'Connor is the least that I think the town could have done for her. She's been very generous to the group of veterans that I work with especially. So with that said, I thank you for your time, and if there's any questions, I can answer for you.
Magnificent job.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it, every bit that you do. Your whole heart's involved in it all the time.
I love it. I haven't worked a day since I've gotten the job.
I remember when we first hired you, I was on the committee to hire you, and we had no second thoughts then, and we never had to look back.
I appreciate that, sir. I really
Great
do.
job.
Thank you very much.
I thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you. Have a wonderful night, ma'am. Thank you.
You're also the most humble man in America. You could keep talking, we could keep listening what you do in your heart and soul, and the extra. You go above and beyond your job description, what you do when you reach out, and we all hear nothing but positive remarks on what you do and how you work with the board and also your veterans in town.
I really appreciate that.
And I do want to thank you for the information we received in our packet of all of the different monuments.
I kept out some of the names, but I mean, the gentleman with the World War II, he's 96 years old. I mean, had some great conversations with him. I mean, he was, and he remembers it just like it was yesterday, and the veterans corners are.
Mr. Franklin.
Yeah, incredible man, incredible.
Yes.
Sharp as a tack.
Yeah, he's got it all.
And down, at the Council on Aging, or rather the cottages, folks will talk about their experiences in Korea, and it's real. It's just like it happened yesterday, and you got to feel for them.
Thank you for your
Thank
service.
you for visiting.
Thank you for your service also.
I just noticed this when I came to the meeting, the sign downstairs when you walk in says Veteran Services Room something, but you're not there.
Yeah, we have it outside there's the, I don't know, call it blinking sign, neon sign outside of the Council on Aging on the street.
No, but
we changed it, yeah.
In here in town, it says Veteran.
Right when you open
You can change that.
Look at that address.
How's it working out down there?
Fantastic.
Wonderful.
Great, that's where you belong, really.
Appreciate it.
Great.
Tk you, folks.
Okay.
Thank you.
He doesn't like to talk about himself.
Great guy.
She's the service officer in Westport.
Okay.
My name is Carol Freitas. I'm a Dartmouth resident, and I am a Marine Corps veteran. And as Matt said, I'm the Veteran Service Officer for the town of Westport. So I know the job that Matt is responsible for doing. And I don't know if this is the right day for this, but Matt had mentioned that his contract is up for review this year. And so I just wanted to voice my support for a pay raise for Matt. I myself did a review of veteran service officer salaries about a year and a half ago so that my salary could be increased. And when I did that review, Matt is the lowest paid veteran service officer in this area for town. So I'm excluding Fall River, excluding New Bedford. He has the second highest number of Chapter 115 clients. He has a very large veteran population that he serves, and he is underpaid or paid less than veteran service officers with less veterans, less Chapter 115 clients who work fewer hours a week. And I really do think that this is a job that we don't just do VA applications. We don't just do Chapter 115 applications. We sometimes work as social workers, as counselors, and I really truly believe that his position is severely underfunded for the job that he does and the veterans that he serves for this town. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Wow.
Thank you. Good information.
We have to,
Yeah.
interesting.
Okay.
Especially when we know how much it means to the veterans that he works with.
Okay. Thank you very much. Time for us to move to the town warrant for the town meeting coming up on June 7th.
In live, as mentioned, live.
What's that?
Live and in
Live,
person.
right. Live this year for the first time in a while, huh?
No Zoom.
Okay.
So there's, on the special town meeting warrant, there's, an article has been added. Mr. Barnes, here, our Director of Budget and Finance, can come up and explain the addition and why it was added. It's been reviewed by the Finance Committee and recommended, but I'll give an update.
Go to that first. Mr. Barnes.
to say.
Yeah. Don't get comfortable over there.
Yes, there is an additional warrant article. It's for assessing cyclical reinspection program. We were under the understanding that we could wait until October to do it. After some further discussions, it was felt it was best to put it on the June warrant. This will allow the work to start before the winter. And when you're doing inspections, it's much more difficult to do the inspections during the winter than during summer, fall. What this is basically is they go out and measure and list the properties throughout town. This is something that is mandated by the state, has the potential to bring in more revenue to the town as we find construction that may have otherwise not have been caught. The assessors have the money to pay for this through the overlay. They have excess money that was not needed for abatements and exemptions, so the money will be coming out of overlay surplus.
334,000.
334,000.
So that is the article that was added. You've seen the special town meeting warrant previously, but now is when you review, final review, vote. So I don't know how you want to.
Do we want to briefly read each one? What's the most effective way to do this?
In the past,
yes,
the chairman has read them and voted.
Okay.
Mr. McDonald's is the fastest reader and talker, so if you want to.
I don't have much of a voice today. You want to share it with me, Sean? Or how's your voice?
Well, I'll tell you, it'll be taxing, but if
Why
you want me to do
why
it.
don't we share the load, okay?
If you want me to do it. All right, I'll start off with this special warrant.
Do the special, we'll move on and share the rest.
Okay, Article 1 of the special town meeting is the Community Preservation Committee, FY 2022 Community Housing and Historic Preservation Reserve, to see if the town will vote to appropriate the reserve and later appropriation monies from the fiscal 2022 Community Preservation Fund annual revenues in the amount of $30,000 is referenced in the Community Preservation Fiscal Year 2023 revised budget to be allocated as following: $15,000 community housing, $15,000 historic preservation, or any other action, yada, 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 yada. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Recommend, I mean.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay. Comments or questions? All in favor of Article 1, special town meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. None? Unanimous.
Okay,
Sean, why don't you finish your special town meeting, all right?
Articles 2 is to supplement the operating budget of the Water Enterprise Fund. See if the town will vote to appropriate $721,000 from the Water Enterprise Fund retained earnings for the purpose of supplementing the budget due to additional costs related to purchasing water from the city of New Bedford. And this was also due to the temporary shutdowns of the the Violetta and the Pinelli wells. So I'll make a motion to recommend.
Motion to recommend.
Thank you.
Second?
Second that.
Comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Unanimously passes. Article 2.
Okay, Article 3.
Article 3.
Article 3 is the appropriation of previous approved capital projects. See if the town will vote to appropriate $305,330 from the Sewer Enterprise Fund retained earnings, $205,838.10 to cover the cost as part of the CWMP engineering design phase and WPC facility upgrade. Previously authorized borrowing at Article 15th at the annual town meeting of June 5th, 2012, and $99,491.90 to cover the costs incurred as part of the ultraviolet disinfection project, which was previously approved with borrowing as Article 5 at the annual town meeting of June 7th, 2016. The town wishes to avoid the time and expense of taking the additional loan with the Massachusetts Clean Water Act Trust for these amounts, and is asking the liability to be paid from available.
Motion to recommend.
Motion approved. Second?
I second that.
Questions, comments? All in favor, please say aye.
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 None to opposed. Article 3 passes.
Okay, Article 4
Mostly for you, Sean?
is the appropriation of assessing the cyclical as described from Mr. Barnes's. So we can just,
Motion to recommend.
Second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes, Article 4 passes on special town meeting. That takes us through the special town meeting. Time to move on?
I can continue if you want, Mr. Chair.
We'll split it up if you want.
You want to go, Stanley?
No,
or-
go ahead.
go in
We'll do it,
order.
and then I'll do a few more.
Do a few more, Sean, then we'll
Okay,
pass
Article
on.
1 is these next three articles have to do with the Community Preservation Committee. Article 1 is the administrative budget for $35,000.
Motion to recommend.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Article 1 passes unanimously.
Article 2 has to do with the historic records preservation for $25,000.
Motion to recommend.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Article 2 passes unanimously.
Okay, the next one is for the Open Space Community Housing and Historic Preservation Reserve, the amount of $275,000, $100,000 for open space, $100,000 for community housing, $75,000 for historic preservation.
Motion to recommend.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? None? Pass unanimously. Article 3.
Article 4 is the appropriation from the cemetery sale of lot fund to see if the town will vote to appropriate and transfer the sum of $2,000 from the cemetery sale of lot fund to be spent for cemetery purposes in accordance to Mass General Law, Chapter 114, Sections 15 and 25.
Motion to recommend.
Second that.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None? Article 4 passes unanimously.
Article 5 is to establish maximum spending budget for revolving funds for FY 2003. That cemetery revolving fund, maximum spending amount, $4,500. Recreation and park revolving fund, maximum, $185,000. Library revolving fund for lost or damaged items, $3,500.
Motion to recommend.
Second?
Second then, sorry.
Okay. Any comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? None? Article 5 passes unanimously.
Okay, Article 6 is the Capital Planning Committee, to see if the town will vote to take $434,871 from the tax levy, $1,852,567 from surplus revenue, $3,667
Sorry.
from sewer enterprise retained earnings, $175,000 from receipt reserve for inflow and infiltration, $533,667 from the water enterprise retaining earnings, $390,500 from the solid waste enterprise retained earnings, $6,750 from the water management enterprise retained earnings, to be parceled out. Town government, two plow replacement facility trucks for $15,400. Police department, 4 cruisers, $234,871. Dartmouth Public Schools for school technology infrastructure, $200,000. DPW engineering GPS survey equipment, $3,667, total $11,001. Highway, DPW Highway Division, Ashley Street Improvement Project, $382,000. Bolton Street Improvement Project, $395,000. Buttonwood Road Improvement Project, $400,000. St. John Street Improvement, $475,000. Wall Street Improvement Project, $157,500. Total, $1,809,500. Inflow and infiltration remediation, DPW Sewer Enterprise Fund, $175. DPW Water Enterprise Fund, Smith Neck Road Tank Painting, $300,000. Treatment Plant System Upgrades for disinfection, $200,000. Water Department Operational Study, $30,000, total $530,000. Solid Waste Enterprise Fund, DPW, 1 Mack rear-loaded packer replacement for $308,500. 4 solid waste containers replacements, $52,000. Solid waste and recycling operational study, $30,000. Parks and Recreation, 4 Aqua Eye scanners at $24,000. And Water Management Enterprise Fund engine for the pump-out boat replacement, $67,50.
Motion to recommend.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Article 6 passes unanimously.
Okay, Article 7 is for the purchase of the property at 245 Russell's Mills Road, as previously discussed by the board, for $290,000.
Motion to approve, to recommend.
Second.
Second. Any comments, questions?
You can speak up, Heidi, if it's just...
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Article 7 passes unanimously.
Article 8.
Enough, Sean?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
Article 8, stipends of elected officials. Town clerk, for FY '23, $91,709. For Board of Assessors, Board of Health, Library Board of Trustees, Parks and Rec Board, Select Board, Planning Board, School Committee, Town Moderator, for FY '23, $0.
Any discussion here?
Motion to recommend.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Article 8 passes unanimously.
Article 9, FY '23 Budget Appropriation, Schedule A, to see if the town will vote $96,814,219 to operate the town for fiscal year 2023.
Motion to recommend.
Seconded.
Discussion?
Should we shout hold, just to get used to the fact that we're
You're
going to
gonna-
be
you're gonna
holding?
hear it.
We're going to hear it. Yes.
That's our government, and that's what we do.
I think we need to run through this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
You want, may I suggest we skip 9 and go to 10, and then we do, or you want to just jump down to the
Do we have
detail? Yeah.
do we have the budget in our packet?
We have the changes to the budget, and that was in the presentation.
Yeah,
that's in
the
packet,
previous.
and also-
Previous.
Yeah, we've already gone through the whole department
Right.
thing. So
Yeah.
this is
No,
the whole
I
total
was-
amount.
No, we have, but are there any, there may be some discussion on any individual item.
I have no discussion.
I'm sorry?
I have no discussion. I watched my finance committee meetings.
I would like to say one thing about the budget, and it has to do with the increase in salaries for positions presented by the town administrator. I think it's worth a discussion on our end, because I think it's going to come up in the meeting. I would note that half that amount is for a position in the payroll department that is one that's been discussed now for 2 to 3 years, and it's here. And the others are fairly insignificant, and I would call them to be improvements in our succession plan and the overall administration, but insignificant in comparison to half that amount is for that new position, which for a town our size, we need a payroll department, and we've gone over that detail there. I think that may be some issue that may come up, and I think we should have some kind of discussion on it, so.
Well, Mr. Bonds would answer that, correct? Aren't you the one that's always brought that up?
About the payroll?
Yeah.
Well, payroll is extremely important. It's the one thing we have to do every week, and if we don't do it, nothing can get our staff more angry than not getting their paychecks.
And why now? Why now?
The simple solution, the simple answer to that is that you can't operate a business in 2022 like you're operating in 1960. Plain and simple. Because the structure, the way our structure is right now, in the way of the town finances and our town departments, hasn't changed in over 50 years. It's got to evolve. It's got to, if there's one thing the town does every single week, it's pay the employees, and pay bills. So I mean, it's just inherent that we have to have somebody in charge of payroll. And to be honest with you, the recent with my family's business is profoundly affected on me as to why we need payroll services. So I have absolutely zero questions about this position at all.
Payroll's become increasingly complicated over the years. There are more complicated
A new
deductions.
system that we have, too, newer systems that we have.
Lot more, much more significant computerization, accruals.
Yep.
all sorts of computer programs that other institutions require us to use on their behalf. Obamacare is something we never had to worry about. High HSA accounts, all sorts of new laws in regards to the pandemic, the sick leave pandemic pay. It's just become more complicated over the years, and it takes more staff support. And also what we're trying to do is go value added. And in order to go value added and not just focus on the nuts and bolts, we need more staffing. So to work on not just taking what we have and doing it over and over again, but to improve upon that.
Thank you.
McGinnis,
Thank you,
comment?
Mr. Barnes.
Yes, as Mr. Barnes alluded to, the payroll process is detailed and meticulous. We also, do the payroll process for the whole town, including the schools. But we're also always looking to do things more efficiently and effectively. That's why we're taking the existing payroll administrator position and making it a system analyst. So it's tasked with, you've heard us mention many times, our Munis financial management system. It has a number of modules, many of which we have yet to implement, that we're looking to implement. But this position will help to facilitate that and make our internal processes more streamlined, more efficient, eliminate a lot of redundancy. And also it helps the payroll administrator position as well, the new one, to provide that redundancy for the payroll process, so that no one person is responsible for a lot of the process that's involved in the payroll processing weekly. So very vital positions, but very beneficial for the town in the long term.
Okay. 5 for 1, totally in favor. I think it's a leap into the modern world of payroll. Any other comments on the other new positions anybody wants to bring up at this point?
So is this a package? We vote for Article 9, it's all in one? There's no cherry picking?
No, everything's included. The changes to staffing on the municipal side that you've seen previously in the workshop meeting, as well as the school's budget, which these presented tonight. So we've been able to incorporate all these changes and present a balanced budget, and we think it's sustainable in the future.
Number one key to it.
You read the article, right?
He did.
Motion to recommend.
Seconded.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I hear none. Article 9 passes unanimously.
Article 10, funding the sewer and septic system betterments. See if the town will vote to appropriate the sum of $1,049,031.19 from the sewer betterment revenue to cover the FY23 debt service and associated fees on associated betterment projects as administered by the Sewer Enterprise Fund of the DPW, and to see if the town will vote to appropriate $43,053 from the Septic System Betterment Fund to cover the FY23 debt service and associated fees on the Title V Septic System Betterment loans as administered by the Board of Health.
Motion to recommend.
Seconded.
Second, any comments or questions? All in favor of Article 10, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I hear none. Article 10 passes unanimously.
Article 11, funding the solid, all these next articles have to do with all enterprise funds. See if the town will vote to approve $1,769,534 pursuant to the provisions of Mass General Law with an appropriation of $1.407738 million for the purpose of funding direct operations of the Solid Waste Department for FY23, and in order to fund indirect operation expenses, an additional $361,796 be appropriated from within in the general fund operating budget and allocated to the Solid Waste Enterprise Fund to be funded in the following manner. Sanitation Division, $1,223,693. The Emergency Reserve, $50,000. Crapo Hill Assessment of $132,745. Solar Net Metering costs, $1,300. DPW Administrative costs, $24,923. Highway Division costs, $35,702. Fleet Management Division costs, $43,150. Town overhead, $258,021. Indirect expenses, that's the total. Estimated single solid waste enterprise fund revenues, solid waste base rate of $850,000, smart bag fee miscellaneous revenue $839,534, and transfer station of $80,000 for a total of $1,769,534.
Motion to recommend.
Seconded.
Any comment or question? Article 11. Let's call to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. Article 11 passes unanimously.
Water Enterprise Fund, see if the town will vote to appropriate $5,383,985 pursuant to Mass General Law with the appropriation of $4,157,340 for the purpose of funding direct operating costs of the Water Department for FY23, and in order to fund indirect operating expenses, an additional $1,226,640 has already been appropriated in the general fund and allocated to the Water Enterprise Fund in the following manner. Water Division, $3,080,537. Debt service, $906,498. Solar net metering credits, $170,305. DPW administrative costs, subtotal for the indirect expenses, which includes DPW administrative costs, construction division costs, engineering costs, fleet maintenance division, town overhead, $1,226,645. The revenues, system development charge of $80,000, other development revenue, $295,000, interest and demand, $10,000, investment income, $2,000, and the water rates, $4,996,985 for a total of $5,383,985.
Motion to recommend.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing that, Article 12 has been recommended.
Article 13, Sewer Department Enterprise Fund, $5,588,817,000, with an appropriation of $4,443,980 for the purpose of funding direct operational expenses for the Sewer Department, and in order to fund indirect expenses, an additional $1,144,837 has already been appropriated to the general fund operating budget as allocated to Sewer Enterprise Fund in the following manner. Sewer Division, $785,486. Water Pollution Control, $2,190,691. Stabilization Fund, $151,150. Debt Service, $1,018,151. Solar net metering credits, $298,502. Indirect expenses total $1,144,837. The revenue is the system development charge of $55,000. Other department revenue, $500,000. Infiltration and inflow, $35,000. Interest and demand, $5,000. Investment income, $600. Sewer rates of $4,993,217 for a total of $5,588,800.
Motion to recommend.
Seconded.
Okay, all in favor, Article 13, please say yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Say aye, thank you. Opposed? None. Article 13 passes unanimously.
Okay, Article 14 is funding the Dartmouth Cable Television Enterprise Fund to see if the town will vote to approve $531,876 with an appropriation of $415,093 for the purpose of funding direct operating expenses, and to fund indirect operating expenses, an additional $116,783 has already been appropriated into the general fund in the following manner. Personnel services, $303,977. Expenses, $111,116. Town overhead of $116,783. With the revenues coming in, cable access franchise fees of $525,876. Sales of tape sponsorships and services, $5,000. Other income, $1,000, for a total of $531,876.
Motion to recommend.
Seconded.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Article 14 passes unanimously.
See if the town will vote to fund the Water Enterprise Fund in the amount of $376,236 with an appropriation from the for direct funding in the amount of $306,536 and $69,700 for indirect costs. With a transfer, let's see, appropriated general fund operating budget fund with an expended fundage of $332,230 from water receipts. Transfer $2,000 from the general fund from the water enterprise fund as a subsidy for parking fines. Chicken fishery with a transfer of $42,000 from the waterways improvement fund for the funding of the for the harbor master. As shown below, personnel services, $211,536, expenses, $84,200, debt service, $10,800, town overhead of $69,007 for expenses of $376,236, with the estimated revenues into the water usage fee of $201,786, mooring fees in the way of $99,600, licenses and permits for the boat launch, $29,100, parking tickets, $2,000, waterways improvement fund transferred $42,000, other income of $1,750 for a total of $376,236.
Motion to recommend Article 15.
Second.
Second. Any comments or questions? All in favor of Article 15,
Aye.
please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I see none. Article 15 passes unanimously.
Article 16 is personnel bylaw amendments, new position and salary adjustments to see if the town will vote to amend pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 240, Section 21, Chapter 41, Sections 108A, 108C, the following personnel bylaw, Section 9, by amending Schedule A, administrative and supervisory group to add the following position, public health nurse, grade compensation and schedule at 9 at anywhere between $30.62 an hour to $41.37 an hour. By amending Schedule A, administrative and supervisory group to change the pay for the following reasons: the engagement coordinator, compensation grade NU5 to 5, program coordinator from NU5 to 5, confidential secretary NU7A to 5, confidential licensing aide NU8 to a 6, system analyst from an NU7 to an 8, administrative assistant to the police chief, NU10 to a 6, DPW administrative assistant for NU10 to a 7. By amending Schedule E, seasoned part-time positions to add in the following: library substitute, $16.35 per hour, snowplower driver, $33.75 per hour. By amending Schedule A, seasoned and part-time positions to change the pay in the following manner: playground instructor from $14.25 to $15.25 an hour, park laborer from $14.50 to $15.25, assistant recreational director $17.50 to $18.25, truck driver laborer $17.50 to $18.25, concession assistant manager from $14.25 to $18 to $16 to $20, assistant harbor master from $15 to $20, COA bus driver from $14.25 to $16.25.
Motion to recommend Article 16.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I hear none. Article 16 passes unanimously.
Article 17 is appropriation to the stabilization fund in the amount of $1,100,000.
Motion to recommend Article 17.
Second.
Comments or questions? All those in favor of Article 17, please say aye.
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 Opposed? I hear none. Passes unanimously.
Okay, Article 18, I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's just too much.
I'd like to hear more.
Basically, town meeting members, take a look at your warrant when you get it. It's an amendments to the stormwater bylaw. It's approximately
Stormwater management.
3, 4, 5.
5 pages.
5 pages long. A lot of it has to do with just changing of the words and some, basically what it is to meet current Mass DEP, EPA standards so that the town is in sync with the feds and the state
And even
and we're
ahead
not
in some
getting any
cases.
problems.
As they say, housekeeping. Motion to recommend Article 18.
And there's no
Second.
money attached to this.
Second.
Second. Comments or questions? All those in favor of Article 18, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I hear none. Article 18 passes unanimously. There you go.
And I
Thank you,
demand-
Sean.
And I demand another bottle of water for this.
You will have
Gin?
to. Oh, we have to sign it.
How about vodka?
Okay. All set?
We just have to sign the signature page here, which we'll send along.
Okay. Can we continue?
Make a
while we're
motion
signing?
that we
Yes.
sign the warrant.
Yep, we
Second
will
that.
sign. I'm
coming
sorry,
around.
Sean?
Make a motion to sign the warrant.
And
Second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and opposed? I hear none. Will you sign
Frank,
the
can we
warrant?
sign on your behalf? Frank?
Yes.
Okay, you said yes, I heard yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Frank.
Okay, we'll continue while we're signing. Okay. Reappointment to Greater New Bedford Regional Refuse Management District.
Yes, Mr. Gagne was unable to attend. He had a previous commitment, but he is very interested in being reappointed.
Motion to reappoint Mr. Gagne.
I'll second that.
Second. Comments, questions? All those in favor of reappointing Mr.
Aye.
Michael Gagne to the Greater New Bedford Regional Refuse Management District, please say aye.
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 Opposed? I hear none. Passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Gagne. Select Board Code of Ethics signings. I would like to just say, to publicly once again acknowledge the work of Mr. McDonald from last year. Did a great job. He meshed together a lot of different points of view from different towns, and we came up with a document that's quite thorough. And Mrs. Brooks will be signing this for the first time. And actually, we did not sign it last year, but now we've started an annual practice that we will not only review it each time after an election, but we will also sign it each and every time on an annual basis.
And we're also going to work with our appointed committees and other departments to have
We
something.
appoint, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yep.
Motion to sign the ethics code, for the Select Board Ethics Code.
Seconded.
Questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion to sign, please say aye.
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 Opposed? None? I hear none. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Okay. How are we doing? Did I skip anything?
No.
Okay, good. Online beach sticker sales launch. I'm going to allow Mr. McGinnis to make this announcement. This is part of our wonderful new online program.
Yes, as part of our online system this year, which is new, it's been recommended by the Park Board, is to allow residents to purchase their beach stickers online. They can access the online sticker sales portal straight from our homepage on the website and also under our permitting section. The payments allows for not coming into Town Hall. They can pay and process all online, attach their registration. It's a very streamlined process. The stickers will be mailed to the residents after they've been processed. So very exciting. We're hoping a lot of residents will take advantage of it to save time and also save staff time here as well. So we're trying to get the word out to get as many people as possible to
I heard
apply online.
that Becky said she was bombarded this morning, even though we had that
In
online.
line?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so this is
In-house.
why we're mentioning it,
Right.
because we want to get more people to do that.
Bombarded, she was, and she's all by herself. Poor girl.
Okay.
Yeah?
Well, congrats on that. It takes a little effort to get that online with all the
Yeah, that's
stuff going
great.
back and forth, and that, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
so it takes a lot of time to set up, so I give credit to Chad Deschamps, our system analyst,
Okay.
and to Becky and Tim Lancaster as well, that done
Great
a lot
job.
of work to make this happen.
Great job.
Thank you. Good luck out there. Get your stickers. Okay, moving on to Labor Council fee increase. Mr. McGinnis.
Yes, our current Labor Council, Howard Greenspan, has been with the town since 2009. His rate has been the same since that date, and he's asked for an increase from $200 to $275 per hour.
Motion to accept his Labor Council fee increase to $275 an hour.
I'll second that.
I will say that we did a little research and checked the market. It's a very reasonable request considering it goes back 13 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's done a great job for us.
Definitely.
Any comments from anyone else before we vote? Okay. All those in favor of the increase to for Howard Greenspan, please say aye.
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 Opposed? I hear none. Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thanks, Howard.
Attorney Greenspan. Okay, old business.
Yes, COVID, no new updates other than we continue to watch current cases, which
think,
seem to be rising, but the symptoms are milder, which is good. So there's, while the cases have been rising, the hospitalizations and deaths have not increased, so that's promising. Bliss Corner, we have reached an agreement with the EPA on an access agreement to use the old police station site on Russell's Mills Road. As part of that agreement, they'll be establishing a temporary command post of office trailers, vehicle parking locations, equipment, and supply storage. They'll be staging only clean materials, fill and gravel and topsoil. They'll be installing some engineering controls, liners and covers, and they will be repairing any response-related damages on the site. So,
Russell Mills?
yeah, the old police station.
the old police
Yeah.
station
For staging, but only, no
only clean fill. Yes,
materials.
that's Russell's Mills
contaminated
Road.
product, and for 1 year.
Yes, and for 1 year.
Year.
So you have the you have seen the access agreement. I just need your approval to sign.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any comments or questions on this agreement? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion passes unanimously. We'll send that off to,
We'll send it to our council to forward to the EPA.
okay.
And Lake Nokichoke, no new updates.
I saw the Fall River Mayor, he had nothing to say either.
Minutes from April 11, and we do them together, April 19th. Any comments?
No, motion to accept.
Second.
Questions, comments? On the motion, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? None? Passes unanimously. Information, announcements.
The annual bridge openings.
I'll move it down, don't touch it.
Bridge openings, okay.
Yep, that's me.
All right, I'll read it.
Yes.
Please be advised that the 2022 seasonal bridge openings begin on May 1st, 2022. The bridge tenders are on duty during the season, and the schedule is as follows: 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. openings on the hour and half hour. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. openings on the hour. 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. openings on the hour and half hour. Should you have any questions or concerns, please call Mr. Paul Pacheco, Superintendent of Services and Infrastructure, 508-999-0744. We wish you a safe boating season.
What about the fishing?
That's not
Oh,
on the
sorry.
agenda. Oh, no, you can't bring that up right now.
I can mention, but Shauna, did you want to mention the Lagoa 500?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure. Thank you. This Friday, over at the Southworth Library will be an exhibit from Lagoa in the Azores. They'll be there celebrating their 500 years as a town, a city. And there'll be a photographic exhibit. It'll be there for 2 weeks. And coming over from the Azores will be the Vice Mayor, Federico Souza, City Councilor Albertino Alvarado, the Education and Cultural Coordinator Igor Franca, and photographer Eduardo Borges, and a nativity scene figurine maker, João Arruda. This is going to be a wonderful exhibit. There's approximately 44 photos that traces the history of Lagoa from its early years to present days. It's starting in Dartmouth. It'll make its rounds through the sister cities in the area. It'll go to New Bedford, Fall River, Rehoboth, Taunton, Bristol, and Fairhaven.
Good deal. Wonderful.
So,
That will be the best, I think.
Go out and see it.
yes, please.
Please, we recommend it highly.
Anything else anybody have to say? Announcements?
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact,
okay.
Mr. Chairman. As many of you know, over the past several years, the town, I've been harping about the shopping carts over on Route 6.
I've heard him mention that.
And always having our DPW pick up the stray carts. But we never really heard anything as to what happened to those carts or any kind of result of what's happening. And there's monies owed by some of these businesses that had the shopping carts. Well, Walmart was the biggest offender, and Walmart recently applied for a building permit in town. Our new online permitting process flagged that Walmart owed the town money for the shopping carts that we've had. So in order for Walmart to get their permit, Walmart submitted a check to the town of Dartmouth for the violating of the shopping cart law.
How much was that check for, Sean?
$23,000.
Thank you, Walmart.
Is that a typo?
Nope.
No.
Congratulations.
Welcome to Dartmouth.
Persistence
Then
pays
our
off.
next biggest one was Target. Target will soon, I believe, be doing some work.
They'll need a
So
permit.
they'll need a permit, so we'll get some money from Target. And I do have to admit, lately, the shopping cart problem hasn't been as bad as it was in the past. Maybe somebody over in these businesses are finally getting a clue. However, with the work going on with the sidewalks on the south side of Route 6, I'd be curious to see how well this cart bylaw is going to work. Now that somebody will be able to have a free rate and bring those carts all the way where they need to go. So, but in the meantime, $23,000.
Nice. Good job.
Well, Sean, I tip my hat. I've heard you talk about this
Does that go in the
frequently
Does that go in the general fund?
It goes
on the
into
home
general
audience,
fund.
so I applaud your persistence on this issue.
I'll be honest with you, there's been at least twice in my travels up and down Route 6 that I've come across a stray shopping cart coming
That you have
towards
to
my
dodge.
vehicle. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
With no license.
yeah, no license, no operator either.
Great news. Thank you, Sean. Thanks for reading that. Any comments, questions, announcements from anybody? The general public? No. I need a motion.
Motion to
moved.
adjourn.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimously, we are going to close the meeting. Thank you very much. May 9th meeting is over.